And we're live.
Welcome back, everybody, to day 3 of our 5-day self-love workshop. Thanks again for joining. I'd like to make a request and just know in the chat or the comments below how things are going so far. So, how's practice been going for you? Have you been able to practice the little beginner's exercise? Maybe for those that have been with us for a little while, been doing this for a little while, are there any tips that you'd like to share regarding um, how you engage in doing the beginner's exercise that might help others that are joining in with doing this? Anything that you've found makes it a little bit easier for you to do or to remember. So if you could, jot that down in the comments or the chat, that would be greatly appreciated. So I know that we have a bit of a flow going here. Odile, you maybe would like to kind of jump in and remind everybody where we're at, what's on
Yeah.
tap for today.
Yes, indeed. So, at the beginning of this workshop, of course, I mentioned that there are two parts to self-love, to authentic self-love. And the first part, the chemistry, of course, we covered in days 1 and 2. And if you haven't seen those yet, do go and watch those first and practice that exercise. So today we're going to take a deep dive into part 2, which is the unconscious resources. So this is the foundation. These are the roots of self-love or the lack thereof. And so when if you think about yourself right now, so follow along with this. So as you think of yourself, who you are, and the idea of loving yourself, notice what's there. Notice how you feel, what thoughts pop up. Just go with the first thing that comes to you. And we're going to slow this down. So we're going to go slow motion to identify, to really, because all of this happens in split seconds. So I'm going to give an example for myself. So one of the things that I had, one of the reactions I had to myself, or the beliefs I had about myself, was as I would think of Odille, me, the first one of the first things that would come to me is I'm so stupid. And it was that sentence, the idea and the feeling, I'm so stupid. And so slowing that right down, going, slow motion action replay, or what they call it, as I thought of myself, Odile, the idea of me, that's neural connections happening in the brain. So that idea of who, the concept of me,
Mhm.
that's neural connections happening in the brain. And immediately, instantly, the brain refers to proof, evidence that proves what this idea is, who this is, and everything about it. And this happens without conscious awareness. And this is why it's so slippery or tricky to address sometimes. So the brain's referring to implicit memory, and by that I mean things we just know. See, what's implicit memory? So, yeah, I get it. So, here's an example. If you were to look outside right now and notice that it's raining, how do you know it's rain? How do you know that it's not dangerous? And how do you know that if you walk out into it, you'll get wet? You probably don't have to think about it and work it out, and you probably can't remember how you learnt about rain in the first place. So, what that's implicit memory. So, at some point in your early life, you learnt about rain through experience, through experiencing it. So now, when you see rain, when your brain, what you call it, not references, when your brain detects um, rain in whatever way, whether you see it or you smell it or you hear it, that data enters the back of your brain first, and your brain then references what is this? And it contains evidence that proves what this is, that says It's called rain, it's water, it's not dangerous, most importantly, and it's wet, and all of those things that if you walk out into it, you'll get wet. All of the things that are all the data that's connected to these stimuli that enter your brain. In exactly the same way, that's how you know generally everything in your life. So you look at a plant, how do you know it's a plant? Your brain is referring to implicit memory that tells you what it is and anything you need to know about it. For example, it's not going to attack you. And in exactly the same way, when you think of yourself, who am I? Your brain is referring to implicit memories that were formed through your childhood, in your childhood, that formed the concept, the structure of who you are and how the world works. So that evidence is not necessarily true. It's just that was your experience. Steve, you wanted to?
Well, I was just going to say, just by way of slowing it down a bit more, uh, and kind of help, because I'm recognizing that as you made that comment, when I think about myself, you said when I think about Odille, recognizing that there could be a number of things that are popping up, but I'm guessing I'm wanting to encourage people just to grab a notebook or a pen, uh, and if you need to pause the video, know that you can just come back to it. It'll keep running for you. But take a moment just to be aware of what those first feelings are, those first thoughts that are coming to mind, and know that it
Yes.
could be more than one. Um,
Yes.
any thoughts on if I'm struggling finding a word or something coming to mind?
Yes, absolutely, and part of that is I want to I want to sort of follow through on the example of
Okay.
my own example, which will help to give an idea.
All right.
So, for example, so my one of I'm so stupid. As I think of me, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm so stupid. This is not anymore, but this was me. I would think that and feel that. So in real time, what was happening was my brain was referring to childhood experiences that proved I was stupid. Now, that doesn't mean I was stupid. It just means those experiences um, gave me that conditioning. So being told, don't be so stupid, Odile, by a particular person. So before we do the sort of the actual exercise itself, I just wanted to cover the theory of it, so to speak. So the as you're thinking of the concept of anything, but in this case, who you are, your brain, that's neurons connecting, and it's your brain is referring to like a library of evidence that proves who you are, and very, very importantly, that information is not necessarily true. In fact, it very often is not at all true. But the brain can't tell the difference between reality and imagination. So everything's, and it can't use logic or reason. So, for example, I did some intellectual things or whatever, achieved some accomplishments, and so I consciously knew I was not stupid, but the unconscious part of my brain can't use logical reason. So if someone said to me, "Oh, but look, you've done that. That proves you're not stupid." To the conscious mind, yes, but not to the unconscious part of the brain. So in the background, the unconscious part of the brain was referring, no, here's proof that I'm stupid. So in the same way, if you try to convince yourself consciously that rain is not wet, you can do affirmations all day and you can really believe it consciously, and you can do the visualizations and all that, but you will still, the unconscious part of your brain will still know that rain is wet because you've experienced it. And whatever you experienced in your childhood is what is holding the weight, not what you are telling yourself now, not what other people are telling you now, and not logical reason. And that's why it is so difficult to change those core
Hmm.
beliefs. And that's what we're going to do. So today we are going to take you through the process of finding those memories, those unconscious references. And the your action step for today until tomorrow will be to come up with, to use that process that I'm going to teach you today, to come up with a list of them. And then tomorrow we'll take you through the process of actually changing those, so to the opposite, positive and empowering, so that the way you feel about yourself will not be based on I should love myself, or or logical reasons. You will know your value, and so you will automatically love yourself. So that's the goal. In addition to that, I just want to mention now, we'll give a little bit more detail on this a little later today in the session. But we are planning to do, we've decided to do kind of demonstration type things. So we've called them live rewire sessions. They're free. And I'll give a little more information on that in a little while, because I forgot to put it in my notes. So I don't have the actual information here, but we'll do that towards the. I'll do it while Steve's talking at some point. But just know that we're going to be offering that later on. So for the detective process, so now we have, like Steve said, get a pen and paper, and or notes on your computer or whatever, and take a moment to think of you. So however is your concept, your name, or the just the idea of you, and notice the first thing that comes to you. So it could be a thought, it could be a feeling, it could be an idea, whatever it is, and go with the first thing without using logic, or trying to think of anything, and write down whatever that is. If it's a belief or a sentence or something that doesn't make sense, it could be something completely random, or a feeling. Notice what happens in your body. Notice any physical sensations. And pause this video if you need to, so that you can have a chance to write that down. Okay. And so now hopefully you've got that written down. So for me, for example, that example I gave, it would be the sentence and the feeling of I'm so stupid. Okay. So now you take that sentence, or that thought, that feeling,
Mhm.
and notice the first thing that comes to mind from childhood. And very, very importantly, this may be completely unrelated. So, for example, if I will tell you mine, but it could be something like carpet, right? It could be just a carpet, this orange shag carpet that we used to have when we were children in the 70s, right? So that could be just a flash of that. You would write that down. In my case, it was being told, don't be so stupid, Odille. So it may not be one single memory. It could be just an over. So mine was like throughout my childhood. So don't worry about it being, oh, well, that's not. So don't discount anything. Don't filter anything out. Write down the first thing that comes into your mind, first thing that pops in. And again, pause this video to give you give yourself a chance to do that. Steve?
Couple of things that I would just interject, and I know that this may be um, information or a topic that we may go into deeper in other videos later, but just thinking about that propensity or that ability to notice what's popping into your mind, what's first popping into your mind, because I know that as I've done this work for myself, and you and I working together, that oftentimes those things that are popping into my mind, that first thing that's popping into my mind, my conscious brain is automatically overriding that. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, well, it couldn't possibly be that.
that's right. Yeah.
This isn't even related to that. This is not connected at all. But what we know, and one of the reasons why we are pretty insistent upon let's just go with the first thing that's popping to mind, is that your subconscious knows,
Yeah.
and it's holding up the file. It's just that it may not look like what we think it should be. consciously we have, well, this must be related to blank. But
That's
what we
right.
know, what we've discovered, what we found is that oftentimes the links to what's going on are vast, or there's a big disconnect between what we think is the related connection and what it actually turns out to be.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve, for making a point of that, because that is spot on. And it's because the unconscious part of the brain doesn't use logical reason. So, it may attach. It may use metaphor. It may attach. It may have picked up one small piece of data that we don't consciously recognize as
Mhm.
linked. So, thank you. Very important not to filter it. And I also wanted to make a point of saying, do not go into these memories. There's
Mm.
absolutely no reason to recall the memories. Just make a note of, so an example is granny kitchen, 8 years old. So approximate age. If it's throughout, so mine, for example, would be throughout, I would just put whole childhood or something like that. So just a couple of words to identify the experience or the memory for yourself. So this is not going to be shared with anybody else. So there's no need to explain it or describe it or anything like that. And even when we come to change these memories, there's no need to play the memory. There's no need to go into it. So very, very important. And an example we came up with this morning is, or an analogy rather, we came up with this morning is, if there's a horrible smell in your kitchen, and you go, oh, what's that smell? And you know there's something in the fridge. You do need to open the fridge to clean it, but you don't want to open the fridge and start playing with it and spreading it out. And as Steve said, taste it, right? You don't want to spend time with the thing. You just want to clean it out so that you've got a clean fridge again, and that gets rid of the smell.
Mhm.
Represents the symptoms you're experiencing in your life now, and the thing that you want to clean would be the negative memory. Steve, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, and I would just say that, that what we're doing in our modality, this modality, is so much different than maybe what people may have experienced
Yes.
in psychotherapy. Having been trained as a traditional psychotherapist, I know that there are several modalities that engage in, going in and processing and really jumping into the old, going bit by bit through the old negative memories and
Hmm.
reliving all of that. And
Right.
really, we want to spend the least amount of time doing that as possible. We just want to be aware
Absolutely.
that there's something there, and then we will work, and we'll talk about that, but then we'll work on changing that. So this is a this is a departure, a change from other modalities that are out there.
Yes. And while we're about it, I will go into this more tomorrow when we come to the actual changing of it. But I do want to just mention it now for anybody who's thinking you can't change memories. Just very briefly, so that you are encouraged and that you do come back tomorrow
Mhm.
to do this. Um, this is all based on neuroscience, and I'll put the link to the science behind it for any of those who are interested in going into that side of things. But very briefly, we're changing the memory for the unconscious part of the brain. You will still consciously remember what originally happened. So, in the same way you would change your GPS, the destination in your GPS to match the destination you want to get to, while you as the driver can still remember where you were before. So that's just very, very briefly to put your mind at rest. This is not gaslighting yourself or fooling yourself or anything like that. Okay, so while now I've got the piece about the live rewire sessions. I'm actually just going to read this rather than pretending I'm just saying it because I've written it out here. Okay.
Turn
So
the
we're
teleprompter. Turn the teleprompter on.
yeah. So we're excited to announce something special that we're offering. We're calling them free live rewire sessions. So these are short, private one-to-one sessions with me on Zoom, where I'll help one person with one specific issue. The session itself will be completely private, just you and me on Zoom, and it's completely free. And then, with your permission, we'll then share the recording on YouTube so that others can benefit from seeing the process and learning through your experience. It's a wonderful opportunity to receive personal help on something you'd love to shift, while also inspiring others who might be dealing with something similar. So if that sounds like something you'd be open to, just comment below this video and say, I'd love a session. And then we'll reply with the link to a short application form where you can tell us a bit about your situation. And then we'll review all the submissions and choose the ones that will make the best demonstrations for the group.
Now,
So I'm looking forward to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to say, what if they're watching on replay right now? They're
Same
watching a recording.
Same
Okay.
thing. Pop it in the comments. Yeah, thank you. So still, just put in the comments. I'd love a session, and we'll give you the link to the form. All right. So action step for today, from today until tomorrow, is make a list of the first. So you took you through the first one. Now go through, notice anything else that comes up. So as I think of myself, what else is there? What else is there? What else is there? Thoughts, ideas, beliefs, feelings, but don't play with them. Don't stay in there. Don't analyze them. Just write it down. Write down. So I here on my notes have written, I'm so stupid. That's all I wrote. And I remember who said that to me. So if I didn't remember, or if I needed to, I might say, so and so, 8 years old or whatever. So just give a couple of things just so that when you see it, you recognize, oh, that's what that is. Any questions? I'm looking at the chat now. Hello, everyone in the chat. Thank you for being here, Sylvie, Claire, and of course, if you have any questions about this, you need any help with this part of the process, pop it in the comments, and we're here. We're happy to do Q&A. And I think that's it for today. Is it, Steve? I don't think I have anything else here.
Well,
on my list.
just want to put a little bit of an encouragement out there to continue using the beginner's exercise
Oh, yes.
on a daily basis. So I know that, we led with that, but can't enforce or
Emphasize.
emphasize. Thank you.
Don't
Finishing my
enforce.
sentence.
Don't
Emphasize
do
enough.
enforce.
Yeah, the importance of practicing that exercise. That it's it seems very simple, but it is something that, we're building that neural pathway. We're building that knowledge, that knowing that I can change my neurochemistry. I can change my emotion, my state in the moment. So by practicing that, we're just building the reps in order to be able to do that. And teaser, we will be using that modal or that exercise when it
Yes.
actually comes to beginning to alter, change these memories. So
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Steve. Yes. So do continue to practice that. And we will see you same time, same place tomorrow.